deadly wrong to deny any of your fellow Americans the right to vote in this country.
The Voting Rights Act of 1965 required states to uphold the constitutional voting rights of African Americans. The heart of the law is called Section 5. It requires states with pervasive voter discrimination to get approval from the Department of Justice or a D.C. District Court before changing their voting laws. 16 states are covered by Section 5, but today it's being challenged by a county in Alabama that is arguing that the law is out of date.
The Supreme Court on Wednesday hears a challenge to the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
The argument sharply divided the justices. The court's conservative majority appeared poised to strike down at least part of the act and eliminate the current federal oversight.
Scalia, if Kennedy or Thomas were to come and to live and see what I see every day, I think their ideas and opinions would certainly change.
North Carolina offers a unique view into this debate. Its cities are home to strong African American organizations and representation. Yet its rural areas, many with large minority populations, still embody a way of life thought to have disappeared decades ago. Just a short drive from the state capital is Kinston, North Carolina. This small town is one of the 40 counties in North Carolina covered by Section 5.
It's two different worlds. I mean, when you cross I-95 from Raleigh, you really are going back at least 20 years.
Controversy tonight over a man hanging a likeness of President Obama from the back of his truck.
A noose in the South is more than a rope neatly created to make a slip knot. But a noose in the South still remains a symbol. Stay in your place.
Across the rural South, practices from the past are being replaced by new ways of maintaining traditional political order. In 2009, Kinston's conservatives pushed for new voting procedures to diminish black voters' influence in city council elections, a move that drew sharp criticism from the Department of Justice. Soon after, those same conservatives petitioned the state legislature to make the very same changes for their school board elections. Breaking away from a 200-year history of inequality is not easily done.
I think a lot of the folks who are still very avid in terms of discrimination probably have embedded some of their feelings in their children. So it's not just my generation that has to go. It's probably the generation behind me and maybe another one.
The South is different. The South is where the civil rights battles still are. We know this to be the case. I'm not saying they don't exist in the North, but what's happening here is unprecedented.
While hearing the case that could eliminate Section 5, Chief Justice John Roberts questioned the importance of these regional differences. He asked if the government believed the citizens in the South are more racist than the citizens in the North.
I think that question is beside the point. I mean, it's rhetorically powerful, but it misses the point entirely. What we need to know is whether or not the political conditions having to do with political exclusion based on race are still present. And we think there's plenty of evidence that shows the answer is yes.
In 2006, the United States Congress reviewed over 20,000 pages of this evidence.
Section 5 objections since 1982 demonstrate that purposeful discrimination continues to occur in matters affecting voting.
Civil rights attorney Anita Earls presented an extensive record of local lawmakers who tried to change dates of election, change election district boundaries, change city boundaries, and make other changes in election procedures, all out of a desire to suppress, diminish, or negate the effect of minority voters.
Hearing after hearing had experts, there were reports, a lot of information before Congress about what had been happening between the last reauthorization in 1982 and the 2006.
In the end, Congress concluded that constitutional violations of the right to vote persisted even 40 years after passing the Voting Rights Act.
This is what they were doing when they had poll taxes and when they had literacy tests. The same effort that took place under the Jim Crow era is being made right now.
That's why, since 1982, the Department of Justice has used Section 5 to object to hundreds of proposed voting changes. In 2012, Section 5 stopped new laws in Georgia, Texas, Mississippi, and North Carolina.
I would love to see us go 10 years and no one raise a Section 5 claim. Wouldn't that be great? I mean, I think then we could make the argument that we don't need it anymore. But we don't just have Section 5. People are winning on Section 5 claims. To me, that suggests we do need it.
And even though there have continued to be objections in Alabama and problems with voting in Alabama, I think from their perspective, getting rid of Section 5 is really about saying we just don't want federal oversight anymore. We want to be able to do whatever we want to do.
Eliminating Section 5 would allow local governments with a history of voting rights violations to swiftly pass new laws at their own discretion.
If you take Section 5 away, what happens is an unprecedented ability to affect local politics in places where the least people are watching.
Those places are likely to be poor rural communities without the resources to mount expensive lawsuits that challenge discrimination. How would communities like Kinston be able to fight back?
The removal of Section 5 would harm a place like Kinston in a way much different, much more adverse than a place like Durham or Raleigh. There'll be some harm there, right? But you've got people in place that will hound, that will walk, that will march. In Eastern North Carolina, where is that backlash? Where is that political animal on the African American side that's going to step in and say, no, we're not going to stand for this?
For nearly 50 years, that protector has been Section 5, both the heart and enforcement arm of the Voting Rights Act.
If Section 5 is overturned, we're going to be right back where we were in 1964.
Progress often is fragile. To the extent that you have it, you have to cultivate it, nurture it, and let it last for a long time, because the moment you roll back, like we learned with Reconstruction, the way that I think we could learn if we have no Section 5, is that all that stuff can be undone and we're back to square one.
All of the opportunities that African Americans have now to participate in politics, they were not given to us. The federal government had to intervene. If we don't have some outside help, I'm afraid that Kinston and towns like Kinston will end up going backward instead of forward.